Hello, it's Wendy Passmore here, and I'd like to welcome you to this time for some guided meditation. We reflect on where we're at, how we're feeling, God's activity and presence in our life. So this will be for about a half an hour, and I'll take us through some guided meditations. And if you have a journal with you, you might like to do some writing as we move through this, or you might just like to stay in the quiet and just be in that quiet inner place, present to the activity of the spirit. So let's just start by um, closing our eyes and taking some deep breaths, breathing in 5 or 6 times really deeply, breathing in God's presence and love. Just grounding ourselves in this moment. And let us open our hearts anew to receive all that God has for us today. Inviting the Spirit to be our guide, guiding us into that grounded place in our inner being where the source of all life resides. So, to start this time off, let's just check in with ourselves. Where am I in the midst of this very unusual time? How am I feeling? And perhaps just to get in touch with what I might be bringing to this meditative prayer time. If anything, maybe I'm just wanting to be in that quiet place of openness and receptivity. But let's just check in with ourselves. Am I calm? Am I content? Am I anxious? Am I fearful? Where am I? And we just offer our state of being into the Spirit's loving presence, owning where we are, owning our feelings, allowing us to feel what we're feeling, and inviting the Spirit into all of that. So, as we're in this quiet place, I would invite us to invite the Spirit to take us through the memories of this past week, getting in touch with where I really felt God's presence, God's activity, where I was enlivened in some way. So let's just go back into that moment and feel those feelings. And as we enter into the feelings we experienced in that moment, did I feel a deep connection to God? And can I describe what God is like? Maybe a characteristic of God that I experienced in that life giving, grace filled moment. And what might God be saying to me in the midst of this experience? And so now let's invite the Spirit to again take us back through the experiences of our past week and where there was a difficult moment, an angst or something within us just didn't feel right, or we're being invited to pay attention to it now. So let's just spend some time with that difficult moment and see how the Spirit is speaking to us in and through that. And how do you suppose God is showing up in the midst of this difficulty? What is God revealing, perhaps? So let us offer these experiences back into the loving Spirit and trust that there will be a continual revelation and understanding of God's presence and God's activity in the midst of all these experiences that we have in life. It really is about our inner journey, and about being um, more conscious and aware of the Spirit's activity on a daily basis in our lives. So let's move now into our meditation with a psalm. Today we're going to um, do some reflection on excerpts from Psalm 104. And so the first time I read it, I would like you to just stay with either the word or the phrase that seemed to speak to you at this moment in time. All of creation looks to you to give them food in due season. When we are in harmony with you, the earth provides. Yes, a bountiful harvest to be shared with all. When we misuse what you have created for us, we blame you for the famine and destruction that arises, and feel alienated from you. Even so, you continue to send forth your Spirit, and the earth, not without turmoil, is renewed. Such hope. You are ever present to us, even as the earth trembles, even as the mountains spew forth ashes and smoke. I will walk in your ways as long as I live. May my meditations be pleasing to you, and may all who feel separated from you open their hearts to new life. The word or phrase that seemed to speak to you this morning. And after I read it through the second time, we're invited to explore why we sense that word or phrase seem to speak to us today. All of creation looks to you to give them food in due season. When we are in harmony with you, the earth provides. Yes, a bountiful harvest to be shared with all. When we misuse what you have created for us, we blame you for the famine and destruction that ensues, and feel alienated from you. Even so, you continue to send forth your Spirit, and the earth, though not without turmoil, is renewed. You are ever present to us, even as the earth trembles, even as the mountains spew forth ashes and smoke. I will walk in your ways as long as I live. May my meditations be pleasing to you, and may all who feel separated from you open their hearts to new life. So, an invitation to explore why that word or phrase seemed to speak to me today. So, after I read it through a third time, we're invited to just offer a prayer in response to the message that we've received from this psalm. All of creation, excuse me, looks to you to give them food in due season. When we are in harmony with you, the earth provides, yes, a bountiful harvest to be shared with all. When we misuse what you have created for us, we blame you for the famine and destruction that ensues, and feel alienated from you. Even so, you continue to send forth your spirit, and the earth, though not without turmoil, is renewed. You are ever present to us, even as the earth trembles, even as the mountains spew forth ashes and smoke. I will walk in your ways as long as I live. May my meditations be pleasing to you, and may all who feel separated from you open their hearts to new life. So, either quietly in our hearts, or we can write a prayer in response to the message that we've received here. So now we'll go into some other prayerful meditations. I first of all would like us to consider, if you feel this is right, that, during this COVID time, I know for me, it's been an invitation to really pay attention to what surfaces. I'm finding, in a way, it's almost like a life review. There's spaciousness and time in this COVID experience. And memories of my past have come up, and I've really needed to sit with them and just to pray forgiveness or whatever. Um, but I just wonder if you're experiencing the same, or maybe need to be aware of what might be surfacing in your life and in your journey from your past or experiences, and a time to really invite the Spirit in, to help us in this kind of life review, in the sense that we might be in. So I'd like us just to consider that for a few moments, if that resonates, that things are bubbling up to the surface that we need to pay attention to, and perhaps to ask for God's grace to enable me to pay attention, and to be open, to what comes up, not to be afraid of it, but to allow the healing presence of the Spirit in to all of that. So just spend a moment or two with that thought, if that resonates with what your experience has been in this COVID time. And you might want to just sit with this as the week goes on. I find, especially at night in my dreams and that kind of thing, things are bubbling up that I might need to pay attention to. But let's move now into those people that we're carrying in our heart, and spend some time in prayer for them, allowing them to come into our mind's eye, and just to pray God's blessing on them. Um, People in our circle, people that are in need right now. Maybe those who are really lonely, who might need a call or something from us, that will just be very aware of the people that are in our circle that are in need of prayer. So let's bring them before God in prayer. And let's just imagine ourselves before God, and let's just pray a blessing on ourselves. And what is the grace I seek? And perhaps we can end this time together with just bringing up into our consciousness all those things that we're grateful for. Perhaps something popped up this week that we just need to um, offer thanks. So, what am I grateful for? And so let's quietly in our hearts and spirit, um, as we close our eyes, let's just imagine Jesus coming to sit with us and looking deeply into our eyes, and we look into his in our imagination. And he is speaking words of love, of delight as he looks at you and looks at me, and always inviting us into that place of being at home with him, with the divine, with ourselves. And let's quietly repeat in our hearts those words that he speaks to us. I am loved, I matter, and I am known. I am loved, I matter, and I am known. I am loved, and I matter, and I am known. God bless you, my friends. I hope you have a wonderful week. Until next time.